Hi, and welcome to Did I Fix That? Today we'll be working on this Porsche 997.2. This is the one that has a 3.6 liter direct fuel injected motor, 2011 model. It's the 997.2. Please ask you guys to subscribe to the channel so we can create more videos and keep you informed on things. Let's talk about the tools that we'll be using. We'll have a standard ratchet wrench. We'll have a 30 millimeter box end wrench. We also have a little tool that you're actually going to have to probably make. Porsche, in their infinite wisdom when they designed this vehicle, to get the tensioner loose, you have to have a T50 bit, Torx 50 size bit. But the socket won't fit on it. So what I did was I grabbed a air chisel or air hammer and knocked that out. You don't necessarily have to do that because once you knock it out, this is too long to fit in the space that it needs to be in. But once you have it, I did cut the end of it off with a Dremel to shorten it a little bit. And we'll be using that to access a bolt. It's I guess a recessed Torx bit. I don't know why they didn't use a normal bolt that you could get a wrench on, or some sort of other bolt that would be more convenient to work on, but I don't know, somebody that knows more about it than I designed it that way. So the first thing you're going to do, normally your bumper skin would be on. I took mine off because I'm working on the spark plugs and everything and got all those swapped out. But take off your license plate, and the license plate bracket, there's two Phillips head screws that hold it in down here. All right, so it's a black piece of plastic. That pops off. And when you have that off, you want to grab a 16 millimeter wrench, or socket I should say, with a couple of very long extensions. You go through the hole, and once you go through the hole, you'll be into the engine compartment, and you're going to see this bolt. This bolt is in the engine carrier, and it is held on very tightly, so you're going to have to really muscle it to get it off. But it's down here is where it's located. So you'll just see basically this little piece of pipe, is kind of right in here. The bolt goes through and into the engine. So take the bolt out. You might need to use a magnet or something like that to extract the bolt once it's out. And then once the bolt's out, kind of tap and knock this piece of pipe out of the way. It's a spacer, basically. Once that's loose, then you'll get your Torx 50 size, and it goes into this right here. So what I did was I put the Torx 50 in there. I've got one of these ratcheting, this happens to be an 8 millimeter because that's what size this shank is on that. 8 millimeter ratcheting wrench. It makes it so much really, really easy. I'm sure Porsche designed a little S-style wrench or something to stick in there. But you'll pop it in that and loosen that. Now that that's loose, we're going to grab our 30 millimeter wrench, and then we can put it on this piece here. And when we do that, we're going to be able to create some slack. Just take the tension off. You can see the tension's coming off, and we can just pop our belt right off. And the belt is loose at this point. Now we can work on taking it out. We're just going to kind of work it around. And if you'll notice at the very bottom of the motor, there's not a whole lot of space. So I'm going to get underneath the car, turn it sideways like that, or 90 degrees, and slide it straight down and out. One thing I would recommend that you do before you do any of this is take a lot of pictures of the motor so you can keep track of the routing of the belt, because if you don't know what the routing is when it's time to put it back on, you're going to be in a world of hurt. So I'm going to go underneath the car and take the belt off right now. Okay, now I'm underneath the car, and as you can see, I've got this belt here. It's gonna be a little tricky to do this one-handed. Make sure that shows up. Okay, so I've got my belt. we're just gonna turn it on edge, like 90 degrees, and squeak it up through where it needs to go. Just right up and through here. And there it is. It's up and out. Then I'll go back up to the top of the car and work on getting that up there. Okay, now that we've got the belt off, next thing we need to do is put the new one on. And I chose the OE spec, the Continental, and I got this one from a company called FCP Euro. Not affiliated with them or anything like that, but I've purchased some parts from them. Pretty good service, pretty good prices. So we're going to start off actually on the bottom of the motor, and we're going to turn the belt kind of sideways like we had earlier, and snake it up through, just like we did taking it out. We had to crawl underneath the car to do that. So I'm going to start doing that and pass it down around, I believe that to be the crankshaft pulley. So we're going to get that down around the gap in between that and the mounting bracket here. Extremely tight. So we're going to turn it on edge and snake it around that, and then kind of route it up and around here in just a second. And that's why you should take a ton of photos to show the proper routing of the belt before you dismantle it. All right, so let's discuss how this belt goes on. So we have our alternator, goes around that, underneath the power steering pump, up and over the top of the air conditioning compressor, goes down to the crankshaft pulley, goes around it, comes back up, hits the tensioner or the idler pulley here, back down into the engine, and down underneath there's the water pump. It runs around the water pump, comes back up, and continues the circuit. Now, once again, to get the idler pulley to release tension, you put your 30 millimeter on there, and you're going to crank down on it. In other words, we're going to go this way with it. And when we do that, if you can see, it puts a little slack in the belt. That's how that goes on there. What I did do was loosened it. I thought I could get it on, pop it over the top of the alternator pulley, but that's a no-go because of this flange creates too much of a dimension. So I had to go over the idler pulley. It was a son of a gun to get on. So I did get it in there, and then I had to use like a screwdriver, or I actually used these long pliers just to kind of push against the belt and get it on and over the idler pulley, because when you're torquing down on this, your wrench is almost going to be in the way there. It's kind of tight design. All right, so to put it back together, we're going to tighten up our Torx 50 right there with that special little tool that we made. We're going to put our bolt in through here, noting it goes through there. You see that right there, it goes through that hole. The little pipe or spacer, which is this piece here, goes on there, and then tighten it down pretty good. I don't know the exact torque specs, but I had to kind of really put a lot of tension on it to get it off. And that's your accessory belt installation. And once again, that little tool that I made was this T50 bit right here. I had to cut a little bit of off, and I put it in, this happens to be an 8mm wrench, goes in there, and it's ratcheting, and I was able to get that off. That's just a bad design on Porsche's part. I think they just wanted to sell a tool. That's it. If you would, please subscribe to the video, or to the channel I should say. We will have some more stuff coming out soon. Thank you.